Bannerlord can be brutal when you're first setting off. The land is swarming with rogues and villains, and it can be hard to figure out how to even get started. Once you're actually in the fight, the enemy is ruthless, and if you're not careful, you can quickly run out of money and resources. Then the next thing you know, your goose is cooked. Well, in this short series, we focus on the early game and share the tips and knowledge of thousands of hours playing Bannerlord in order to help you get off to a great and lucrative start. Buckle up. It's new, of course. You can assault them during the day. The hideouts are significantly changed, especially anybody who hasn't played Bannerlord in a little while. These things they're just a different animal now, and I gotta get rid of my spear here. We need our sword, and I guess we can just use one of these axes. Axes are nice because they're typically very fast. They're just very short. They're actually not bad for hideouts if you have a shield. And in we go here. We're gonna, of course, continue to try to take some of our companions. We've got this new infantry dude to get in there. You definitely want to get those guys some experience. Javelin units, of course, as I've already mentioned before. In fact, I'm going to take a couple Coast Guard here, try to get a few upgrades. This is where you start taking, I guess, chances, right? It's not a big risk here if we take some of these skirmishers. There's obviously some chance that we lose this hideout, but you don't get destroyed in a hideout like that where you decide to try some lower level characters like this and lose. You just get pulled out, right? You might lose your troops. You might have some death. But you yourself can't be captured in a hideout. That's not a thing as far as I'm aware of. So in we go, like I've mentioned before. At the outset, your units are on hold fire, and I think that's appropriate. At the very beginning, the last thing you want is for them to locate and identify, or more accurately, to notify every single bandit and get them all coming towards you. It's nice too if they're in melee mode like this because they fight kind of in a tight group. Might makes right in Bannerlord, and the easiest way to lose either a battle or a hideout is to have your forces sort of spread out and separate, right? And here, of course, now we can start to say fire at will because there's more targets and some of them are at a distance here using their little dipshit slings. And slam the shit out of some of these peasants here. Now, we're not going to do more than this hideout the rest of this playthrough. Unfortunately, the RTS mod does not work at this stage of 1.4, which means that we can't speed through these. So, rather tedious. This is just to get a few of these in here to talk about some of the basic elements. At distance like that, right, this is where ranged weapons are lethal. Our little low-level crossbow, they hold up their shield and then they ragdoll the shit out of these units. It's amazing how much damage your low-level crossbow do. And of course, I can just sit here and collect all the revenue. 24 bandits, 8 left to go here. And once you've done 4 or 5 hideouts, not too exciting. We don't do stealth on the channel. There's a whole bunch of channels out there on YouTube that do stealth. I'm sure they're much better at it, much more knowledgeable at it. I will frequently just recommend you try a different channel, somebody else who's covering it. In this case, I don't know of anybody who's really going around sort of master of stealth with Bannerlord. I honestly don't think that the Bannerlord stealth system is that interesting. It kind of seems like, you know, they've tried to make the game a jack of all trades where you can do everything here, and I can't hit a single guy with an arrow. Just trying to get one guy hit between the eyes. My guys get in my way, and they sure hit him between the eyes, right? Your javelin throwers are so lethal now with 1.4. I can't even get any kills here. Quit killing everybody, fellas. And again, the rewards you get from hideouts are enormous. The risk here is virtually zero, right? We don't have a single guy who's injured or killed. We've killed 21 bandits. We're going to get prisoners. We're going to get influence. And most importantly, we're going to get a bunch of loot. Eventually, someday. There's a group of 4 or 5 very hard of hearing bandits here. None of these guys, they have no alarm system whatsoever. They're guarding some cool old ruins here, and they're going to get ripped apart. Now, the guys out there, don't duel this guy, right? You can do that, I guess, the first time just to have a good time or whatever, but there's way more rewards than just killing him and all his vagabonds, right? I like to come up and just clobber him over the head a few times here. I push towards the back. That way I don't get killed. I can get behind their guys, and it's Ragdoll City, right? These guys have no chance. And I don't think we suffered a single casualty here, right? So it's just pure good and 7 upgrades. So by taking in some of these lower level skirmishers, our army snowballs even harder, right? And then we get a bunch of bandits. I don't think we need to bother with the peasants. And we're up to 71 troops. Man. Ripping right along here in this campaign. Now, these are great bandits, right? These not only upgrade to outstanding Javcav, but this is one of the most underrated units in Bannerlord. I had a subscriber point this guy out. He's got a nice skill set. He's got a spear, he's got a shield, but look at that shit. This is a bandit with the best javelin in the game. It's kind of amazing. These guys are cheap and they're deadly. Like, if you're in this stage here, you should be trying to get those. And of course, it upgrades from the Nomad Bandit to the Harami. And eventually you get here, but I think bang for your buck, honestly, especially if you're struggling for money, get a bunch of these Haramis. And they're pretty easy to acquire, whether you're doing them in hideouts, or whether you're just fighting desert bandits down in the Aserai lands. And again, we're still getting 270 for influence here, right? We're rapidly upgrading our equipment. And you start to really, it starts to snowball and explode in a pretty gnarly manner at this stage, right? We're getting some pretty decent equipment. And we have no money issues whatsoever already, right? We're clan tier... not quite clan tier 2. We're halfway to clan tier 2, and we're, I don't want to say we're rich, but as far as Bannerlord goes, we're rich, right? We can buy any kind of reasonable piece of equipment. If we see legendary, whatever equipment that's out there, we'll take it, right? Sold. I start filling out some of these other skills here, but I guess I should also keep pushing our one-handed, since I almost always end up using one-handed a fair bit. You're just going to use it for hideouts. A spear in a hideout is just kind of a worthless item. If you guys, if you're new to Bannerlord and you're not aware of that, spears suck in Bannerlord. That is the only way to put it. All right, so this is great opportunity here. These dipshit Aserai forces are trying to follow that army. That means there's probably going to be more forces coming here. Now, you still want to be careful here, right? You could definitely get captured something fierce in this situation because all these different Aserai forces are going to be congested in here, right? It's a traffic jam. This is a bottleneck in the game, right? These forces have to push through. They can, I think, go way around, but you never see them do that, right? And so generally speaking, they pass right in front of you, and unfortunately, they have gathered up with the army. Now, let's see if there's any other... Let's see if the caboose is still coming. Now, of course, what we can do, we're still clan tier 1, obviously. We can attack that village, right? No question we can do that. This is a bit of a different situation here when you get 2 different forces. And that force especially has a bunch of cavalry. 22 cavalry. Cavalry is a bigger threat in your Bannerlord campaign at this stage. I'm still going to try to figure this shit out here. How do we do this? I want one of you guys. I'm going to try basically to pull one of these guys into battle. Or maybe we can attack just the caboose here. It looks like it. Come on, baby. What do we have here? A better target. So it's almost like they're in a trance. When they're joining an army, they give no shits about things that are coming their direction. To me, that's bad programming. They need to act like an intelligent entity instead of just a robot. They're acting like those little kids that carry a ring. We got the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen here on this gal, and we're going to take her helmet off, give her a smooch, and then put her in the prisoner line. Come with us. All right, so they're favored. Right, but we've got tactics. This army has no chance, right? We've just, at this stage, once you establish a baseline of 3 or 4 divisions that can move around tactically, your enemy forces, especially that have, this looked like it had mostly infantry, are absolutely chopped liver. They're toast. Now, let's see here. We still have some scrubby infantry. If you haven't seen one of our episodes yet, in fact, I should say, welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. We're running a little bit of a distractionary division here. I've got, this is our archer, and he's got a speed banner now. Look at that shit, right? 25% speed banner, so they're starting to move. Tank, let's get some of our guys here in the correct position. Guess we can keep him with the cavalry for now. All right, so let's also put good archers in that 5th division. You want your captain to benefit your best troops, right? I still want 2 archer divisions here. That way I can put some archers over here, some archers over there, and some skirmishers on the flank. But this 1st division, I'm basically sacrificing these guys. They're all Asteroid forces anyways. We don't really give a shit about the Asteroid forces, right? We're going to be racist. Don't be racist in real life, but Bannerlord is a perfect opportunity to be racist, right? We're gonna pick on these poor Asteroid forces, send these little peasants into their death. Now, there are some critical things that you need for our setup here for these tactics to work. The first thing, and I mentioned it before, is you want to have distance behind you here. If you're jammed up against a wall, you can't do these tactics. And man, is it hard to see the units there. I apologize for that, but that is the system that we have. You know what? I'm going to put the skirmishers in the middle. This is our 6th division there. I'm doing that because I want the enemy to come through the middle of our troops. I'm also going to put our cavalry over here. They don't really have any cavalry. You know what? There's a chance that the enemy plays defensive here. Let's see what they are. Well, okay, it's a good situation for us to just completely pick apart this sad strategy. They have 17 archers and 84 infantry, and they're going to play defensive against our force of ranged units. How do you think that's going to work? Not terrific for the enemy. So we're going to put some archers right here. We'll put some more archers right there, and just basically separate them by 30, 40, 50 meters, right? 100 meters is the max that I would do that, and that's because you don't want your units so far apart that they can't help each other, right? If one archer division is attacked by infantry, and the other one is 300 meters away, you can't even shoot the guys. They just watch them die. All right, we'll bring up our skirmishers here, but I'm not going to charge. There's absolutely no reason for our infantry to be involved in this fight. Make the enemy come to you. And if you're new to Bannerlord, it's a little bit like looking under the hood here. We're basically going to teach you how the system works, right? The AI will try to sort of skirmish at range here until all of a sudden things are not going well. And then what it does is it freaks out and it charges, right? They will come towards us. When they do, we want our units basically ready to kill. So I have my archers here, 2 different lines of them, and they're being shot a little bit over here. One thing you can do is just make yourself a target, right? Put yourself at the front of the vanguard, hold that shield up. The other thing you can do is you can bring horses up and put them in a shield wall. That's interesting. The enemies, they're really getting strategic. They're gonna go down the hill here, and they're gonna do everything they can, and they still have no chance. We'll just bring our archers closer. Bring our skirmishers closer. In fact, they're getting to the point where they're far enough down the hill here that I actually advised throwing javelins downhill at this force. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. We'll bring this skirmisher unit right up here on the side. They're about 50 meters from the enemy, maybe 60 meters. Have them get 50, 60 meters, and then tell them to fire. Right? Fire at will. Your skirmishers have an effective range, a good, solid, effective range of about 30 meters, but they will throw further downhill, right? So the javelins are about to start flying here. They're reloading here, and the enemy's just going to get melted here because javelins break shields. Of course, in many cases, it'll one-shot whatever they're hitting. We can kill this little archer there. And this enemy force is so badly cooked. We're going to make it worse, right? We're going to take these skirmishers and put them behind the enemy. Right, they're now going to run over there. This is why speed banners are so important. The skirmishers are now going behind the enemy. Don't be a hero and try to take that guy out, right? Just hold your shield up. We've been mentioning that throughout this campaign. Your own guy is an absolute weakling early in a Bannerlord campaign. Survive. That's your job. Don't try to get too tricky. Now, I'm going to bring the cavalry in here, just a coup de grace. I'm also going to charge with the skirmishers because we might as well hasten this force's end. We also want those guys moving towards the enemy and being involved here in the final clash. So I got some cavalry. We're just sort of circling here. They are throwing, some javelins at our troops. My own cav, of course, gets in your way. Fucking dipshits. And at this stage, I have no problem with the old F1, F3. We've got the enemy surrounded. Most of their troops are badly wounded or beat to shit, and they're going to get vaporized in about 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. You can almost hear like the scene in The Equalizer. He's like, 19 seconds, 19 seconds. Right? And the Acer right here get finished. This force is like, yeah, we got him. No, you guys are absolutely shredded. Ooh. Now, maybe it looks like there's one lord here. That's why the battle hasn't ended. But that force sure ended bad. And this is going to be a highly lucrative battle for us. Right now, our troops here might fall to their death as they leap off the edge here, trying to kill one guy that's stuck in the rocks. 19 upgrades and 3 death, right? So we roll on here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play for a little bit, get us to clan tier 2, and we will pick up this campaign. I hope that's enough of sort of demonstrations at clan tier 1, utterly vanquishing our foe here, right? This is just mega power leveling, and again, at 270 influence, that's how much we're getting for the Southern Empire. We just made, what, like 6 grand, something like that, right? We just made a huge pile of money. We get free troops, and as usual, I've got my prisoner lust going on here, right? The ranged units, especially really good skirmishers like that, always hard for me to say no. We'll do a little editing here. We'll take you into the future. I'll just sort of absent-mindedly play here for a little bit as we get some beautiful upgrades, right? Nobody's surprised at this stage. A legendary bow, right? We had a little peasant's bow, and very quickly we have elite equipment in this campaign. And we're not spending any money. We're just collecting all the loot from our vanquished foes. All right, we're still in hazards here, but I'm going to do a little editing. If we get captured or there's an interesting battle, I'll be sure to narrate and follow it for you fellas, but otherwise, see you at Clan Tier 2. Gonna maul these villagers. Of course, you just don't stop doing this, right? You're just gonna every time, give me troops, give me your money. These dumbasses, they can't wait to resist, right? Well, we're gonna teach them a good lesson. It's a delicate situation for sure. We've got this force here, but you don't want to miss this kind of a battle. It is a bit tenuous. This is definitely a good way for a less experienced player to get captured, but it also represents enormous opportunity here. It looks like they're healing up after squashing the back end of that Southern Empire force, but so let's focus on this. This guy's coming in here defending Sahel Castle. This force is sitting there. Now, they're not attacking, right? You notice them just sitting there despite the fact that they outnumber the Imperial force. More than likely, what that means is that this Asurite force has worse troops, and critically, for our knowledge, for our benefit, this Asurite force has neither a huge amount of cavalry nor a huge amount of archers. Opportunity knocks. We're going to get some deserters here, but it's going to be some of those light archers and recruits. Now, I'll reiterate, I would not engage here. In fact, I got to be careful not to get caught up. I would not engage here if you don't have some experience in Bannerlord, but if you have a little bit of experience and you follow our instructions here, I think this is a grand opportunity to make Clan Tier 2. They are moving in for the kill. Very delicate right here. They're moving in 553. You're going to see the Allied forces coming down. Now, here's what I would say. This is a battle that you can easily lose. We may even lose this, and a lot of it comes down to the Allied behavior, right? There's a random element here. The way that the game approaches tactics really does almost seem random. This Asurite force might charge us, or they might play defensive. If they charge us, we got a good chance to win. If they play defensive, we're probably going to lose. That's really what it boils down to. There's only so much we can do here, other than giving our guy a helmet, a nice looking helmet here. We've got about as good an army as we've had in this campaign. There's a lot at risk here, right? We could lose all of these forest bandits. We've got some weaker troops at the bottom, but critically, we have 49 archers. That's going to allow us to take a flank, and we have good archers, right? We have Sergeant Crossbow, but we're going to also have to monitor how much ammunition we use, right? This is a battle, like I said, that could easily go in the enemy's favor. And you could see the power levels almost exactly, right? We're outnumbered slightly, but what this tells me is our force here has some good troops, some Coast Guards, some shipmates. They have good skirmishers. Now, obviously, what we do in battle here, it's all going to depend on our ally, but this is a battle where you can also get rich. I didn't look, but I think we're closing in on Clan Tier 2, and come on, baby, play defensive. Now, you might be able to leave. Let's see what happens if we try to leave. I think we can leave still. Nope. Okay, so we are locked in. This is a new thing. You used to be able to hit leave here. Now we're locked into this battle. That's obviously ominous, right? It's basically all in on the table in this battle. And fortunately, we've got an ally that looks like they're going to play defensive. The enemy's got mostly infantry. That's a great setup for us here. Now, what's your job, of course? The first thing I did is I told everybody to follow me and hold fire. We're going to have a setup here for this battle. They're probably going to do some skirmishing with their cavalry. We don't have very many archers either. So the good news here is that our force Okay, I was going to say we have 1 archer. We have 32 archers in the 5th division. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to split our archers. This command is F3, F5. So you click the division you want to split, F3, F5. We're going to split it because I want 2 equal divisions of archers. I've got 2 equal divisions of infantry. And this is a good screen also to take a moment, catch your breath in a battle like this. Because the enemy's coming to us, they're 300 and something meters away. We've got some time here. Unfortunately, we have some dumbass horse archers. That green above my helmet there, that's our horse archers. They're trying to joust. My preference in a battle like this, once we orient ourselves here, is to take a flank. We have some allied cavalry here, and it's good cavalry, right? This is a really good sign because it's going to allow us to take a flank in this battle. So the enemy's coming in here with horse archers, archers, and infantry. There's the main body of our troops. Again, we're on hold fire because you don't want your units shooting until we can see the whites of the enemy's eyes. One of the problems with the sergeant crossbow, we have a lot of sergeant crossbow and nautes, the skirmisher for the Imperials, is that they don't have a lot of ammo. Right? That's something that is a little bit of a hindrance here in a big battle. They do have lethal ammo though, right? And we're definitely going to put it to good use. All right, so the enemy's 200 meters away. It's time to start setting up some lines here. You could tell everybody to stop if it drives you crazy to have them following you. Here's what I would prefer. I don't have the RTS mod to show you, so I'm going to just try to line it out here. We want to protect this flank with some cavalry. We don't have much, so we're just going to put 3 guys literally right there and 6 guys right here. We're just kind of creating... oops, that's the wrong division. 3rd division. We're just kind of creating a little bit of a box for our troops, right? So 1 division, that flag, another division there, and shield wall both of those units. So they're going to be defensive. Next, take your crossbow and start setting it up here. Again, roughly perpendicular to our enemy force, or to our allied forces. The last thing we're going to do is bring our infantry up near our cavalry. So cavalry there, 1 infantry division kind of right behind them, and the other one here, again, flanking that enemy force. And just like the cavalry, tell your infantry to hold fire. Excuse me, tell them to shield wall. So they're shield walling and hold fire. Your job, of course, said it before, survive. Don't get killed here because you're fucked. Your troops will do disastrous shit. Now, it's time to start shooting. The enemy infantry is within range, 100 meters. We're going to hit a lot of shields here at the outset, but we also need to wither this cavalry here. These guys are going to do major damage to our troops if we don't have some kind of counter for them. So our crossbow at least is open fire. I'm going to move this cavalry out just a little bit. Now our infantry is not firing yet. In fact, I'm going to move this division of cavalry here. It looks like we've got a couple of vanguard and or regular Ferris. We're going to move them and the skirmishers over here to the enemy flank. And both of those divisions, the 3rd and the 6th, fire, right? So they're in a shield wall. That's why they're moving slow. But now they're going to start throwing lethal javelins into the side of the enemy. These guys are all protecting themselves and now also throwing javelins. We've got our other infantry division, a cavalry division protecting our archers. And I want at least one of these crossbow units close to the enemy, because the closer they are, the more damage they do. There's a little bit of a delicate dance here. If we're too close, these guys will get charged, right? In fact, I'm going to bring this infantry right up behind the enemy. The enemy's focused on this huge allied mob, and that's allowing our troops just to fire javelins into their back. We got one little renegade trying to come after us here, and we are pounding the enemy at range. Now here, they're moving in for the kill, but notice the direction there. They're basically facing the wrong direction. So we're going to come right in behind on them here, and everybody's shooting now into the back of the enemy. Our cavalry, again, is purely defensive. They're just out there basically protecting our flanks, and in come our skirmishers here. At this stage, you can also put the skirmishers in line formation so they move quicker. Of course, you can definitely do a little bit of work here, just don't get killed. If you're at a 3rd health here, or 1/4 health, stay out of this, right? There's a huge scrum. There are troops in there that'll one-shot us. Now, our skirmishers are literally just chucking javelins right into the back of the enemy. Same thing with our archers, and they couldn't be a lot closer, right? That's about as close as I would ever get. We're maybe 15, 20 feet from the enemy force there, and you could just see our troops flinging sharp sticks into the back of the enemy. And they're not focused on us because, of course, they have a huge amount of Imperials in front of them. Now, at this stage, I'm actually going to charge, right? They don't have many troops left here. It looks like maybe 50, 60. And I would prefer that you brought your archers up to charge as well. Right, we're going to basically have all of these guys charge. And the infantry or the archers, you tell them to hold fire and charge, right? That way they come in here and start brawling. And you know, again, because we have this sort of tough tough archers, the crossbow, they run out of ammo, but they sure are a nice little executioner division in a battle like this, right? They come roaring up with their maces, and they will punish whatever asteroid forces are left here. And if they have ammo still, that's going to help, because this battle is not over yet. And our cavalry's being kind of harassed out here, but they did their job, right? These cavalrymen have protected us this whole battle. And they're gone, right? There's nothing but dead asteroid all over the place. So at this stage, I'm going to tell everybody to follow me. We're basically going to reset. Our crossbow's not shooting, and it does look like the enemy has an archer line coming up behind us. Again, the idea here is we're trying to minimize losses and maximize killing. It's a fairly simple concept, but this is the execution of that, right? I can notice my weak-ass characters just holding up the shield like a bitch. Now, the enemy's moving archers in, and our force doesn't have many archers. Don't be in line of sight here, right? Move back. Fight with the enemy archers on the side here. Don't take a javelin. And just let the enemy, or let the allies get shot, right? You ultimately, you're a mercenary. You don't give a shit about your ally, right? You want them to take the brunt of it. Now that they're moving forward, I'm telling these guys, follow me. Now we can start putting them forces again here on the flank of the enemy. Might as well get some kills at the end of this battle. I'm also just going to tell my cavalry to follow me. And the Imperials here might get waxed. They're charging a lot of Aserai. The good news here is we will get reinforcements. I can't remember what we started with. Maybe it was 400 or 500, something like that. 600. I think there'll be at least a few reinforcements here. And so we're just going to bring our forces up on the flank. And we're just going to try to malign these archers. There's the reinforcements. The ally just got a bunch of reinforcements. Now, I think it's totally fine to charge here. If you wanted to play defensive and not charge, I'm good with that as well, right? Because we are charging with units that I don't want to lose, right? We have some Nautes here, but you're also racking up kills right now. And we can also sort of finish the battle here by charging, right? You can see the enemy getting scorched by our skirmishers. I'll be surprised if we have 20 casualties in our army. Not our allied force, I mean our own army. Meanwhile, of course, we know we got lots of kills because we were scorching guys with javelins at range. And this Aserai force got punished. Again, this is the kind of battle where you gain like 50k, because we probably killed a third of the units on the battlefield and suffered very losses. In fact, now that the battle's over, let's take a peek. Okay, we didn't quite kill a third. We killed about a quarter of the troops that the overall army killed here, but we had 4 deaths, right? This is just incredible for our army. We just roll right along here. It's almost as if that battle didn't happen from a perspective of losses. And again, 19 upgrades. So not just lots of killing. Our army did plenty of killing, but we had 4 deaths, right? We lost, it looks like, a horseman, couple veteran Ferris, and then 1 Sea Raider chief. We're probably about to run out of Sea Raider chiefs. Oh, what was the influence too? 30, almost 30 influence at 270, right? So this is a 9 grand battle. Let's see. Plenty of morale, 25% of the loot, tons of renown. We're probably not quite yet to Clan 2. Okay, we just hit Clan Tier 2. We just plundered 5 grand. We'll get a prisoner or 2 here.
I give up.
Couple 3 prisoners.
Enough.
5 prisoners, and it's starting to rain, right? This is like turbo mode now for your campaign. Now, I understand what I just did there is complicated. That's probably a little bit uncomfortable to a lot of players. That's okay, right? Just sit on the edge of the battlefield in a big battle like that, and you're going to lose some of those, definitively. Losses equal experience, and what I mean by that is you will learn the little things that work and don't work in instances like that. Now, let's see. I think we don't have the castle here. I guess I could take a few more of these troops, because if we took the castle, we're going to be able to get tons of influence by donating some of these high-end prisoners, but I think that's not the case. We would get absolutely loaded rich if this was a battle where we could trade these prisoners in. But I think we're going to get a ton of deserters, because I don't think we have a dungeon to put them in. Just tons of upgrades. Looking good, and I guess we'll just take these troops here just to fill our army out. We're getting some consistently nice banners, lots of horses, and money is like all of a sudden not an object for us, right? It doesn't mean we can run out and buy the most expensive armor in the game, but what it means is like we're in really good shape suddenly in this campaign. 38 grand, and we're making 3 grand a day with our mercenary contract. Now that's going to start to fade. Your mercenary contract starts to get dwindled down. And they should begin to siege. You know, I almost never do that. I'm going to sit right here. We'll do this once. This can be probably the end of the episode. You can view sort of what's in the castle. And they have some militia archers. They have 8 master archers, which is a pain. They actually have good archers. You see the Barii there towards the bottom, the veteran soldier. Those are really good archers. I would not, if I were you, I would not engage in a siege like this. I would skip siege altogether if I were you. You're gonna suffer serious losses. Why bother with the siege when you can do what we just did there, right? Get over here, Aserai forces. I'm gonna kill you fellas.
What do you want, stranger?
Did I get them both? Good. Yeah, we want to kill them all. Come with us, pretty eyes. What do we got going on here? Let's see. This is a good example of a perk that I will change later on. You could change your perks at an arena. Right now I need speed, both on the battlefield and for our party speed on the campaign map. I'll take that. I guess we keep pushing this. Yeah, let's push our endurance. We're going to get a siege defense here before too long, and siege defense is where your character explodes in wealth. I mean, you think we've gotten wealthy so far. Wait till you see, wait till you see a siege defense with this force, right? How do you like me now? All right, so skirmisher division. We almost no longer have a peasant division, right? We've been getting so many upgrades. We're down to like 6, 7 dipshits here that don't have a shield. Not good units, and one of them I think is our commander there. So we got a little bit of cavalry, a little bit of archers. You got to continue to sort of split that archer division so that you got 2 different angles on it. Skirmishers here. And let's blow up this force. All right. Plenty of infantry. And I can't tell how many archers that is. It looks like it's 30, 40 archers. We've got a reverse slope decline defense here. Let's see if they attack us. They might play defensive. When you attack an enemy, you notice they were running on the campaign map. There's definitely a possibility that these Aserai forces play defense, and I can actually tell already. See how they're running sideways? If you look at that number right above my head, see how they're not really getting lower? These guys are, because they're horse archers. They're supposed to skirmish. They're coded to skirmish, but the rest of their forces are running to a defensive spot here. They don't like what's happening in this battle, and so they're out of here. This guy here is in trouble, and we'll move our forces up. Yeah, you ain't gonna make it, bud. I can't tell what was happening there. I swear that their guy with the shield, their flag bearer, was swinging his weapon at like 200 yards. He was swinging it at a ghost or something like that. All right, so good. Another defensive enemy here. This is actually just fine, right? Because we can demonstrate some tactics. Now, almost got killed there. Don't get killed by a javelin. What do you do if you get killed here? Just retreat, right? These forces were running from us. If your character goes down, instead of auto-resolving this battle and taking huge losses, just retreat. Come back and fight another day. Now, they've got a line of archers there towards the front. That's interesting. But they are playing defensively here, right? So we're just going to stick archers at the center and sort of pin them down. Meanwhile, we're going to get an archer division to a flank over here. I like to get our cavalry out in front, as we've been doing. And those guys, of course, once they're in those positions, shield wall. Early on, you're going to get hit with lots of arrow fire. They got horse archers shooting at them. They'll throw a few javelins. They're also screening our archers. Our archers are running to a position here on the battlefield. I decked that guy off his horse. You don't have a horse, lad. You're in trouble. Got shot in the ankle. All right, the enemy's kind of rushing up. They probably understand that they're going to get cooked here. We're going to bring our skirmishers in here and bake these poor bastards. Now, I've been mentioning it before. We've got this raggedy first division. You know, it's a good use for them in a battle like this is to eat some javelins. I don't like these guys. They're dipshits, a bunch of peasants. They're replaceable. Right? A bunch of guys that we can get for free at a later point just by going to a village and say, give us your troops, right? So we'll just send those guys there to Catch some javelins, lads. Eat them for us, right? And the benefit of that, of course, is that means our troops won't get drilled with a bunch of javelins, or less javelins anyways. Now the 6th Division can be told to fire. It distracted quite a bit of the enemy forces away, right? Like 30 troops chased after those peasants. So that's good for us, right? Because that means this 6th Division can charge. Now we can bring cavalry through here. They got a slinger who tried to sling and got cooked. He got absolutely drilled right in the face with a javelin. All right, just dragging our cavalry through here. At this stage, you can just charge with them. Keep them occupied a little bit. I got my shield up. How am I getting shot? Skirmishers are having a little bit of trouble here against a pretty decent-sized infantry vanguard, but enemies cooked. And the old F1, F3 at this stage. Very appropriate. Our character now can start to put a beat down on the enemy. It's very important early on that you survive, but once you start getting some reasonably decent armor, it becomes a lot easier to survive, and you can actually start shooting and killing on the battlefield. Early on, where it's essential that you survive for your army to execute tactics, you must play defensive. Eventually, we're going to turn this character into a beast. And at this stage, it's just starting to pour in resources. The skill points are starting to pour in. Another 27 influence, right? Look at them run! That's another 6, 7, 8 grand. You are my prisoner. I mean, we literally have half the Aserai nobility as prisoners of our little mercenary force here, right? We've got 100 troops, and we better make our way here to a city soon, because we're going to lose most of these prisoners to deserters. In fact, let's take a peek here. They're all over the place, right? We're dragging them all over the place. And you can reduce the amount of prisoners you have. That'll make it less likely they desert. We got way too many of these. And let's make our way to a city or a castle. Part of the reason I was thinking about joining this castle assault here is that if we join it and we take it, then we'll be able to instantly put them in, and they're escaping left and right already. We'll be able to put them immediately into the dungeon, but you don't even see a siege camp built here. This is a process. They have to have at least a siege camp, a tower, and a ram. We're talking 2 days before they get all that done. Here's a closer target here, right? Let's run to this castle. We'll probably have at least one more escapee, and then we can turn right back around and get more money. Now, what's happening up north? Oh shit, we got Manchug sieging, right? So there's more shit for us to do here, and we enter the castle. We can say, go to the dungeon, donate prisoners, right? And this is going to be even more influence. We can't sell them here. There's no city to sell them. Instead, we get 30 more influence, right? 30 times 270, what, 8,000, 9,000 gold, something like that. We're gaining levels left and right. Do some more steward stuff here. Alright, I like that one. Discarded armors are donated to troops for increased experience. If we do get captured in this campaign, I will show you that one a little bit here. I guess we should continue pushing our leadership a little bit. I think there's a charm skill I want to. And look at this. This is all... These are basically the Aserai forces. There's a quote in that movie Equalizer 2 where he's like, the only thing I regret is that I can't kill you guys twice. Well, we're able to here, right? We're going to be able to kill them while they're Aserai forces, and then we're going to be able to kill the deserters, which are, in effect, sort of role-played as these are the escapees, the cowards who fled from the battle. Now we get to kill them again, right? And even more influence. Even better, there's an Aserai force here right in front of us attacking them, so they're going to be weakened. They might even have prisoners, right? Because when forces attack like this on the campaign map, when that number goes to 0, this Aserai force is going to try to run because they sense their imminent death. They are correct, and I don't think they're going to make it, right? We're right on top of them already. They're going to get disorganized later than us. In other words, we're going to lose our disorganized state first, and I think... we'll catch them. It's going to be close. Our party's too big. We just lost our disorganized state, and they're cooked. Another set of beautiful eyes here. We can put you in the prison, and then we'll look at your eyes once you're in prison. And it's tempting to auto-resolve, but I tell you, man, you take a beating in auto-resolve. So we're just going to do this kind of quick, kind of aggressive. And these battles eventually, once you get good at tactics, become absolutely repetitive. You will never lose a battle where the power bar is like even. We'll take a more aggressive approach here, just, you know, for the guys who are in a hurry. What I would do here, if, you know, I'm trying to play the campaign and still go to that good party tonight or whatever you guys are thinking about doing. Move your units up aggressively, spread them out, right? Your infantry and archers, in this case skirmishers and 2 archer divisions, should be spread around. You can admire the incredible beauty of this game. What do they have here? I didn't even look. They got a bunch of archers. Right, all right, so we'll take a little different approach here. Let's get 1 division of archers way to this flank. And what have we been doing? More cavalry on this flank, right? You can come in here and just kind of try to protect against the javelin throwers. Yeah, I see you. Starting to get, you know, feel our oats a little bit with our main character. These guys are a problem for your archers, right? These jav cav guys, these spear cavalry, I like to try to get in here and at least slow them down. We've mentioned that a few times. Them running at full speed on the battlefield, chucking javelins into the back of your troops, that's no bueno, right? That's definitely not good. No está bien. All right, these archers over here, they have cavalry out in front of them, so they've got almost a little layer of defense. We'll move our archers up behind them, right? Those cav in a shield wall, and look what the enemy's doing here. It's really interesting. They are prioritizing basically that far side over there. What does that mean? That means these archers over here are absolutely untargeted, undefended. Now they're moving in here, right? You can charge with your little peasants, but I'd actually recommend you just back up. You can just barrel right into that, but you might as well let your javelin guys javelin, right? That's what they are born to do. Their archers are scrambling, they're fucked, right? These guys are absolutely panicked. These shields are going to start to break. These cause some carnage at the back of their line here. What that does is it causes their units to sort of prioritize you, and when that's happening, of course, they're still getting drilled by javelins, right? As they haplessly try to poke me here. At this stage, now I think it's fine to auto-resolve, or more accurately, just F1 F3, right? We can try to, I guess we can try to shoot their pretty lady in the face. Someone got to her before we did. That's usually how it goes with pretty ladies, right? Someone gets to them before you do. And a character who's gonna get shot like a bitch. And short and sweet. More upgrades. Another pretty lady joins the harem here.
Stop.
Influence aplenty. Come with us. And look at this. These are the deserters, right? Now it's starting to get silly, right? We have all of these troops, and we're starting to pile up prisoners because she just took out one of those deserter bands in front of us. I'm trying to think of what I want to do here. If you have too many troops, you can't move, right? You move around the battlefield at like 1.0 speed. The campaign map, rather, at 1.0 speed. So what I'm going to do here is just dump a few of them. I don't mind being over, and we're going to do that more and more in this campaign, but I prefer 10% over, kind of as like a high end, right? We can get rid of these lowest level troops and keep the rest. We're still going to get deserters, but they're going to come from troops that we don't care very much about, right? Our elite troops are protected. If I haven't mentioned that, I think let's cover it here. Every 24 hours, there's a deserter check. You're going to basically lose troops if you're over your minimum. It's roughly 10 to 20% of the troops you're over. In other words, if you're 100 troops over, every day you lose 10 or 20 troops to desertion. The good news is we understand the program. It's always from the bottom of your roster. That means if you have your troops aligned like this, if you happen to be one of those guys that likes to align your troops like that or name or something else, you're going to go to the bottom. You're going to lose elite troops as deserters. Make sure you organize them by tier and then click it so that they're at the bottom of your roster. Very simple, right? Now we're going to lose a Mamluk soldier and something else. Guys we just don't care about. So much loot, we can't carry it all. We're starting to drag it around. It's jingling and jangling behind us here. We're making some progress on that castle. Now we can take down these deserters. And I think maybe we head north to give you guys a little bit of variety. The Khazate are up there. We can run down these deserters on the way up there. We'll do a little bit of editing because you don't need to see us blast yet another force, right? The same tactics are going to work, and then we will pick this back up against the Khazate. Party gets disorganized. That doesn't matter. Let's raid this shit, right? Let's get some action here. We've got more than the troops than we can handle, right? 121 now. Let's just raid it. What this will do is this will probably bring Khazate forces to us. And they might not attack, of course, because of the strength of our army. That's the bottom line here. He's thinking about it. He's like, I've heard what happens when people attack this guy here. And at this stage, what's ironic is in a very short period of time here, we have gotten to kind of a crazy level in this campaign where we don't get attacked, right? We've got large forces that are just running their ass off from us. And I'm not sure if this is just another guy here who's trying to clown me on YouTube. Here, we got two guys here. Let's fight them both, right? Let's to hell with it. To hell with caution, right? Get over here, boys. Here we go. Now we got this guy incensed here. This other guy, we should be able to triangulate this, and this probably looks suicidal, right? Let's to hell with it. Let's take on all three, right? Let's just barrel in here. This guy's got footmen. Come and get it, boys. We're basically just making ourselves the sandwich here.
Out there. Who are you?
And unfortunately, only two of them made it in. I say unfortunately because it's here. This could be the last battle of Clan Tier 2. We're not anywhere near Clan Tier 3, but we're pretty fleshed out here. We've got our whisper arrows, and you know, I mean, what do you have to say at this stage, right? Other than mercenary stage, ranged units, tactics. Gosh, it's incredibly powerful. You really do just blow everything up in its path. Can stick our new archer gal here. Just picked this gal up, Sigatruda the Black. She's an archer kind. I like archers early in a campaign, right? You guys have seen that. Archer captains especially. She doesn't have great perks, but that's pretty good, right? You stick her in an archer division, and they benefit quite a bit from that. That alone, to me, is worth picking up a companion like that for this kind of campaign. She's going to be adding 10% maybe overall success rate to that archer division. Of course, I've never done detailed tests. We need like a strat gaming guide or one of those guys who gets way deep into the testing of Bannerlord. There are some other guys out there that do some great stuff as well, but I always like to give strat credit. Of course, like a lot of other players, he was there at the beginning for me, right? When I was first learning from Bannerlord, I found strat, and it was, next thing you know, is to the stratosphere, right? Once you start learning the game mechanics, what units are good, etc. And we're sort of carrying the torch here. A lot of people say strat has been a little bit burned out lately. I get it, right? I mean, or at least I'll probably get it at some point. I've been playing Bannerlord now for about 2.5 years straight, and I'm embracing this as a hobby job. This is a lot of fun still for me, trying new things, and we're still getting better, right? It's been a lot of playthroughs, and each time, you know, I think it's a little bit better, right? Here, this horse archer division, I don't know what they're doing. They're waving their red flag in front of our bull, and so we're very eager to bring our skirmishers up almost point blank here and just dump javelins into their ranks. And it's, you know, it's we'll call it suboptimal AI. Now they're ostensibly charging. That Lord hit the deck so hard. I mean, she just cratered to earth. Now we can get our skirmishers to follow them. Our archers, of course, are going to melt their forces here, right? The rest of their forces are torched. Now we've got our cav over here throwing javelins. If you wanted to be sort of a perfectionist, you'd have them hold fire, but we don't need to anymore, right? We're done having to be a perfectionist in this campaign. We could start to even fuck around with our main character, although you still, you don't want to get overly confident, right? You still get one shot by like a couch lance or something like that. They're getting pounded. Let's go ahead and get this division, this 5th division, on their flank. And what that'll do, of course, is avoid most of those shields. The skirmishers there are dumping javelins. Again, if you put that cavalry in between the enemy's archers and your skirmishers, that frees up the skirmishers. A couple different things happen. First, instead of your skirmishers being shot, your skirmishers being shot, your cavalry's being shot, right? We'd much rather that our 6 little cavalry there got shot than our 45 skirmishers. Our skirmishers are what are really mailing in the DPS here, mailing in the kills in a battle like this. And start getting aggressive here because this Khazate force is being savagely melted. You can actually just charge with those skirmishers. We'll probably suffer a few losses, but not very many. And of course, your skirmishers, they're throwing javelins, they have shields. They're very capable on their own, but if they're getting attacked, right, they will hold their shield up. In other words, if your skirmishers are under fire by a huge amount of archers, instead of skirmishing, you're going to be surprised to see that they stand there a lot. What they're really trying to do is not die. They prioritize, rightly so, survival first over dying. That makes sense to me. Right? That's what we've been advocating this whole campaign. You're going to suffer a few deaths here just because we didn't kite it the maximum level that we could have, right? We obviously could have kited this little Khazate force into next week. Got some horse archers coming up here sort of haplessly. I don't know what their archers are doing. I think they're just trying to suicide. We can comply with their requests. And nothing at all wrong here with them all charged. Everybody can just fly in here. This little peasant is waving his sword at me. And very quickly in this campaign, we're now the overlord of our forces. We're taking on multiple lords at once. We're trashing dudes. It's still too bad you can't shield slam from a horse. That should be a thing, right? You just smoke the guy in the face with your shield. Skirmishers move in here. We'll probably suffer a few losses. Our cav is distracting, though. They're rampaging through. And our archers are back there just moving up, smoking everything. So it's full steam ahead here. And frankly, we need a huge challenge already in this campaign here, right? With this army, with some good tactics, this force is just wrecking shop. That's the collective sound our enemy made in today's episode. And 10 deaths, right? But there'll be some low-level deaths in there. We lost some of our Corsair chiefs. We lost 2 Nautes. That's kind of painful. Those are good units, but none of our Sergeant Crossbow, right? And of course, we had over the minimum there, so we basically lost back to the minimum. And this other Khazate force, sorry, dude, I'm not going to execute you. And we get even more prisoners. And this other Khazate force is going to run as fast as they can back to Khazate land, and they're going to report the terror. That is our little Gadouche, the greedy fella. Man, he looks like a stupid asshole. He's got a birth control mustache. But when you're rich enough, that's not a thing, right? You still get laid. You find somebody who prefers money over looks, and the next thing you know, even if you look like a dumbass, you're still going to get laid. That's like the moral of this campaign, right? If you got a terrible personality, instead of working on it, just get rich, and then you can still get ladies and you'll have a good life. Of course, if you can't tell, definitely kidding, right? Prioritize that personality over looks. Too many guys out there trying to look maxing or whatever the fuck. And is this guy gonna suicide on us, I guess?
Stop there, stranger.
Stop there, stranger. He just gets absolutely pummeled. You know what? I'm gonna wrap the episode up right here, I think. This guy can't win. Even if we told everybody to hold fire in F1, F3, we would still slaughter this poor Khazate force. You guys don't need to see yet another slaughter here, especially where we just destroyed 200 of his friends. He's gonna come in here with his 86 and his strange accent and tell us what's up. I don't think so. So this campaign is going to continue. Maybe 2, 3, 4 more episodes. We got to get a siege for you fellas, of course, right? Manchug was up here sieging. Maybe we can get another big battle against an enemy force in the open. That previous battle was a pretty good demonstration of the power of a ranged army, minimizing casualties in a big affair. Of course, we've had plenty of smaller battles in this campaign as well, and we'll continue to try to give you guys a good blueprint on how to kick ass at Bannerlord. As I always say at the end of these episodes, I appreciate you for hanging out and watching our content on the channel. We're doing our best on a regular basis to try to produce content that is either entertaining or educational, and sometimes both. That's the best way actually to learn, is when you don't realize that you're actually learning, right? The process is a lot more intuitive then because you're having fun. All right, here's I get shot to death. Thanks again for watching, friends. Please hit that like button on the way out, and I will see you guys next time.
Footman! Oh, down! Infidel arrow! What move?
Scorch them, boys. Get some.
Forward onward!
Ooh. All you see is horses running away as fast as they can here. Oh, you almost got me, dude. Oh, you guys are holding your shields up. That's a neat trick. Have some skirmishers on the flank, you sons of bitches. Yeah, let's watch your shields blow up at point blank range. You almost got it, peasants. Hold that shield up. Yeah, you got a chance here. Nah, you don't. You guys get melted. We can't stop them. Cue the routing. Right, where's their lord? Let's cut him down. That ought to stop there. He said. Oh. Kill their lord. Make him scream. Your peasants are routing, my lord. He gets ran down like a dog. Help! We can't stop him. I gotta hear some of these guys scream. We're still recording, so to hell with it. We're just gonna throw this at the end of the episode. Run! Run! Everybody run! We're all gonna die! My favorite, just to listen to them scream for help.
We can't stop them.
I probably would have been a mass murderer in another life. It's a great thing there's Bannerlord. That way we can get all of our violent emotions out and just mow down digital characters instead. Shoot them right in the jugular. Oh, you almost made it. It's a nice hat you got there. Just getting couch lanced. Run! Everybody run! Freaking dumbass. I give up. I give up. Come with us. We don't even want any of your Scuzz troops. Stinky Kazate. We'll take all your armor and we're going to sell it wherever they'll take stinky armor. Thank you. And what do we have here? Ah, this is custom made. And we've got our next episode lined up. Perfect.